I'm Julie, I'm the doula trainer, and I just thought I'd jump on and just give you a few ideas about some of the things to do with labour, pre-labour and advanced labour that doulas need to know. So a few gems of wisdom here. So one of them is to do with pre-labour. What is pre-labour and how long does it go for? What do we need to know about pre-labour? The information around pre-labour is actually quite vast. So getting a hold of an extremely good midwifery textbook and having a good read of that will definitely be a help. Maggie Miles, M-Y-L-E-S, is sort of seen as the best one in Australia. There's a few good ones, but anyway, make that top of your list, and when you get the opportunity to grab one of those, go for it. It'll help you enormously. It'll add to your excitement around all of this as well. So pre-labour, how do we know that somebody's gone into pre-labour? She will have tightenings of the uterus, and often it's in the middle of the night that she might notice it, you know, when everything's quiet and she's gotten up out of bed and she's wandered off to the bathroom and she's sitting on the toilet. This is often where women begin to notice some of their pre-labour signs. So she's sitting on the toilet and she might have some loose bowel motions. Now, it's not diarrhoea, there's nothing wrong, she's not sick, she didn't eat the salmon. So the loose bowel motions is the natural cleaning out of the system, allowing more room for the baby's head to move down. For some women it'll be an incredible relief because they may well have been extremely constipated during the last trimester of pregnancy, the last 12 weeks of pregnancy. Why are they so constipated? Well, the metabolism has slowed down and they're probably not moving around as much, and a lot of women will restrict their fluid intake because they're so fed up with having to rush off to the bathroom to do a tiny little pee because the full weight of the baby and the amniotic fluid and the placenta are all pressing on the bladder. So who can blame her, right? But if she becomes a bit dehydrated, then she'll get even more foggy and, yeah, all the things to do with dehydration. So she does need to keep up her fluids. But the other thing that a lot of very late pregnant women are doing is carb loading. So there is a professor of obstetrics who was noted as saying that he believes that a lot of women will carb load. It's an instinctive thing and they're getting ready for a big expenditure of energy. So they'll eat a lot of rice, they'll crave rice, potatoes, potato chips, French fries, they go berserk over those. Pasta, they love pasta. So obviously it's a lot of energy going in and they're sort of holding that energy in readiness for labour. But the trouble with eating like that is it's going to cause constipation, right? So the loose bowel motions might be, hallelujah. It might be a great moment for her. And I don't blame her at all. So see how that goes. See if you can explain a few of these sorts of things to your client during their pregnancy and keep a bit of fun about it, of course, too. Don't be too serious. So the other thing is that she may be sitting on the toilet. She's noticing maybe a bit of dull, rhythmic backache. Now, it's not sharp, it's just dull, and it's rhythmic, meaning it comes and goes. It comes and goes. So that's great. That's a great sign. Then after half a dozen hours, a dozen hours, it might radiate around towards the lower belly at the front, similar to period pain in exactly the same area. And then after 6 hours, 12 hours, maybe longer, it will then also go deeper inside the pelvis, so that by the time we've got a woman in true labour, even advanced labour, past 5 centimetres, she'll have the dull rhythmic backache, the period-like sensation, and very deep, very heavy pelvic pressure. So that's a very typical standard textbook progression of labour sensations. Now, what happens next after that is the urge to push. So she might decide she wants to sit on the toilet and she might be rocking backwards and forwards. She might be making a lot of noise, like the sound of the letter ah for an extended length of time. And if you're in the bathroom with her, the sound in the bathroom is pretty loud. So she might go ah, and then a catch in her breath, and there's the beginning of pushing. So we don't make too much of a fuss, don't spotlight it, don't go, oh, I think you're pushing, because she might really pull back and slow right down. Just let it happen, shh, don't say anything about it. she will come to her own realization, and then she might announce, I'm pushing. It might take 10 pushes for her to do that. She might start to feel the baby's head come down. Now again, in movies, a woman pushes, baby pops out. In real life, especially first baby, 2 hours later, we're still there going, do you want to push again? And the baby still isn't out yet. So it can take quite some time. Babies don't just pop out, which is great for a doula because it helps her get this woman in a comfortable position or to change positions and to experiment. It can also help the doula have time to take awesome photographs, do lots of mini videos, and also think what was there on the birth plan that she wanted me to remember for her pushing phase, but also her delivery of her placenta. And we don't call it delayed cord clamping anymore, we call it optimal cord clamping. So that's information for another video, but it's about not clamping the cord immediately after the birth, okay? So, so there's some great information for you. Now here we go, another gem of wisdom for you is during the labour, the midwife, of course, will want to examine the woman. Some women are being influenced on Instagram to deny all vaginal examinations. You don't have to have them. And that's true, you don't have to have them. But then how do we know where you're at? Now, a skilled person can look at a woman and watch her for a while and go, I think she's about 1 centimetre. I think she's about 5 centimetres. I think we're getting pretty close to 10 centimetres. But that's only somebody with a lot of knowledge and a lot of awareness and a lot of skill, okay? A lot of experience. And of course, sometimes we're wrong. Sometimes we get convinced that she's only 1, and of course she's much more advanced than that. So, and some women will be very slow during their pre-labour and then really hit the accelerator between 5 and 10. One of the ways of causing that to happen is run the bath and get her in the bath, and women just go, oh, and they relax magnificently, like they really let go, and that's exactly what we want for them. We want them to really, for the bath to be a huge relief, to support their weight with all that water, for them to be able to just release and let go, and next thing that cervix might open up very considerably. Now you try to avoid putting a woman into the water before 5 centimetres, otherwise we might slow the labour right down, maybe even to a stop. And we don't want to do that. That'd be kind of mean to do that for the woman, wouldn't it? If she's a bit desperate, a bit tired, if she's complaining, if her legs are sore, then sure, run the bath. Doesn't matter where she's at in the labour, pop her in for 10-20 minutes, give her a rest, and then try and talk her out of getting out of that bath. Come on, I don't want to slow you down. We need to get you out of the bath. You've had a fabulous rest in there for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, but now your legs are rested, that's awesome. We need to now get you out of the bath, and we need to get you upright and moving around again. So when a woman gets to 6 centimetres, this is actually a really awesome thing for a doula to know. When she gets to 6 centimetres, that is, very important to know this, the ceiling of pain, okay? So that's as high as her pain is going to get. It will not increase after 6 centimetres. Now, it doesn't matter whether you believe me or you don't believe me, just watch. You watch. For the next 10 births you go to, listen to the sounds she's making. Watch what's going on. Watch her body signals, watch everything. And over a period of time, let's just go with 10 births, you'll go, yeah, I get that. It doesn't actually increase after 6 centimetres. What does happen is that those contractions, her waves, get a little bit closer together. Okay, a little bit closer together. So that's good because it's going to accelerate us. That's why everybody says transition might only last for 10 minutes. So between 6 centimetres and 10 centimetres can actually be surprisingly fast. Okay, so the ceiling of pain is 6 centimetres, and they'll get a little bit closer together after that. So you can reassure your client that her ceiling of pain is 6 centimetres. Isn't that good to know? It's actually very reassuring. Guess what happens at 6 centimetres for a lot of people? two things. One could be that her partner says, are you ready for your epidural yet? Because I need you to have an epidural because I'm not coping. Okay, that's one possibility. Another possibility is that the woman hits 6 and says, oh, I can't take it. If this gets any worse, I can't. I've got to have my epidural and I've got to have it now. So wouldn't that be great to let her know earlier in her pregnancy, because it's mighty tough to get this message across during labour. Wouldn't it be great to be able to communicate this to her in her pregnancy so that you can remind her when she's in labour, it's okay, you've already hit your ceiling. You don't need your epidural. You've already gotten to the lid of your pain ceiling. And then reassure her, come on, I'm going to help you get in the bath. Come on, let's get you back in the shower. And then also zap some hot packs. So those gel-filled ones that you can get from the pharmacy or the hospital might have them. I wouldn't rely on the hospital having them. I reckon bring 4. Okay, you want one on the belly, one on the back. While they're cooling down, zoom off to the microwave. The midwives will have a microwave. Zap again just for 1 minute. Get them out of the microwave, wrap them up, and then replace the ones that are going cold, chunk chunk, with the ones that are lovely and fresh and hot. Now, obviously they're not going to be that hot, but very, very warm. So heat will trigger a woman to relax. Honestly, it's one of the most powerful tools that we have for helping somebody get through labour without an epidural. Okay, so I can attest to that personally. I loved my hot packs. And like even just during winter, I'm always hugging a hot water bottle. I hand out hot water bottles in my prenatal classes and explain to them, you want one of these on your belly and on your back. You're not allowed to take hot water bottles or heat wheat bags into the hospital. So it's one of the most helpful strategies. So always remember there's 3 very important strategies. The shower, getting the woman in the shower and getting it pounding her back and pounding her belly softly, and hot water backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Next, the bath, okay? And if you went into a hospital where there is no bath or they're not allowed to do water birth or anything like that, you want to jump on Facebook and tell everybody, I went to such and such hospital and there is no bath and nobody can use a bath. And I mean, that's just crazy, isn't it? In this day and age, to have a hospital, a maternity unit with no bath. What's that about? And so make sure everybody knows, and then also highlight, oh, we went to that hospital and they did have magnificent big baths and we used them and it was fantastic. So make sure that consumers keep learning information about the good stuff, okay, and avoiding the bad places or the bad stuff. Okay, what else is that I can talk to you about as a doula trainer? Water's breaking. How do you know that somebody's water has broken? Most of the time it's a big, obvious, hot, wet gush. Not always, but a lot of the time. So it's usually pretty obvious. It's a cup or 2 worth of fluid gushing from the vagina. And of course some women go, I think I peed myself. If she thinks she peed herself, or maybe she did, no surprises there at the end of pregnancy, right? With the amount of pressure on the bladder, especially if she sneezed or coughed or laughed or anything like that. How do you know then? So you put on a great big maternity pad. We call them surfboards, don't we? Because they've got wings on them. So a great big maternity pad. And if that's drenched within 30 minutes, yep, she's got ruptured membranes. Let's have a look at the colour of the fluid. It should be clear, okay? And some crazy things on the internet say it's yellow or it's, I don't know. But anyway, that's rubbish. It's clear. It's clear amniotic fluid. What might be in there could be some black stuff, which is very sort of sticky, and that's baby poo, called meconium. Meconium. Midwives sometimes refer to it as just mec. So it's mec stained liquor or liquid. And so if there's some black stuff in there, it's not a problem. It's just a little tiny bit of poo that's leaked out of the baby's bottom, and then it's just leaked out of the fluid. However, baby poo that might, be a little bit of a concern is if it was green. What sort of green am I talking about? Green pea soup. Okay, sorry if I just turned you off your lunch. So green pea soup is very thick. It's like sludge. It could also, if you don't know what pea soup looks like, pesto sauce. Sorry about your lunch if you're eating pasta with pesto on it. Sorry about that. So pesto sauce or pea soup. Now, if the fluid coming out of the woman's vagina looks like that, then you'd make a phone call, have a chat with the midwife, and then follow their instructions. Okay. One of the things they're going to want to do is just check Bubby's heartbeat. Do you know what a heartbeat should be? 120 to 160 beats per minute. Okay, so that's a normal fetal heart rate. Maybe I should talk to that as well. If a baby's heart rate drops down below 120, goes down to 110, and then it'll usually recover back into the normal range. That's just a normal response to a bit of stress. Those contractions are nice and strong and they're stimulating the baby. What happens to the baby inside the uterus is that the baby goes, we're in labour, I'm copping a bit from these contractions, and the baby will undergo a little tiny bit of stress, just a little tiny bit. And this is usually in very late labour, getting the baby ready for second stage. They want to be adrenaline charged. And when they come down the birth canal, they actually help to be born. Did you know that? So they will kick and they'll rotate themselves and they'll spiral their way down through the pelvis. Aren't they clever? And so adrenaline will build the baby up to have more strength, more energy, so that the baby can actually help a bit more. Isn't Mother Nature amazing? Just amazing with the way all of the micro design in this is all meant to interlink and help the mum and help the baby, for the baby to be born. So then when the baby does move down the birth canal, the baby is squeezed and compressed incredibly. That does a couple more things. It cleans out the baby's airways. So by getting really squeezed, any fluid that was in the nose and the mouth and the upper respiratory tract is all cleaned out of the baby, getting the airways ready for breathing for the first time. Maybe it's not quite that dramatic, but never mind, you get my drift. Okay, so when the baby moves down the birth canal, it becomes fully loaded with adrenaline, and then when the baby comes out, especially if this is a non-drugged baby, so we didn't have any gas or morphine or epidural or anything else, then that baby will come out extremely bright and really sparky and very reactive, and it'll open its eyes and it'll breathe extremely well. And what else will it do? It'll latch onto the breast extremely well. Okay, so that's another video that I need to do to explain all of that for you as well. Have you heard the term microbiome? That's something to look up. It's something to know a little bit about. Now, another way that membranes can rupture is just a little trickle, and sometimes it will seal itself. Okay, so if it's just a little tiny trickle and the fluid is clear, then I shouldn't be too concerned about it. Sometimes it'll start as a little trickle and then turn into a good big gush. So everybody, thanks to Hollywood movies again, thinks that the waters will break first and then we'll have contractions. Again, we've got to deal with this earlier in the pregnancy. There's such a lot of information that doulas need to give to mums. Okay, so if you can't get it across well enough, then what you do want to do is refer your clients to a childbirth educator that's running good natural active birth classes. Take that educator to lunch and sit her down and say, I'll refer to you if you refer to me, please. And so develop very good partnerships, okay? If she's a doula as well, then make an agreement that she's not going to pinch any of your clients, but you want her to educate your clients as well as possible. And then you've got well-educated clients coming back to you going, right, well, here's my birth plan, and they're all geared up and they know exactly what they're going to be doing. And then you can add more to that education and they will have you to bounce off more questions and more answers as well. So it's a great, great partnership. You're sending people to the educator, she's sending people to you. Perfect, brilliant. So with the membranes rupturing, it's important to know that if the woman had contractions and her waters broke, the midwives are not concerned. If there were no contractions at all, and the woman had her waters break and it's a big obvious gush, or it keeps on leaking out and leaking out, the placenta keeps on replacing the fluid to the tune of about 1 litre per hour, so depending on how much is drained out, and so if there were no contractions at all, yep, we need to contact the midwife and let the midwife know, and just again follow the midwife's instructions. So it might be that people pop into the hospital and get checked out, or their home birth midwife will pop over and she'll check things out and then get the instructions, and then we're all good. Okay. So there you have it. So there's quite a bit in your workbook. There's checklists along all of these lines and quite a lot of information there that's going to match up with the videos that I'm sharing with you as well. Have a great day.